Hey team, we are reviewing subtraction with regrouping again today, and we are going to solve two problems together. The thing I want you to focus on during this review, besides when do I regroup and how and why do I regroup, is how do I deal with the zeros in my number when I'm subtracting. So I want you to pay careful attention to the 0 in the tens place here and how we handle it. And also the 0 in the tens place here and how we handle that, noticing they're in different spots, okay? So like the 0 in the top number we're subtracting from versus the 0 in the bottom number that we're actually taking away from that bigger number. Okay, starting with the first one, 1,706 minus 527. Remember, you can stack and solve by lining up place values, noticing I didn't put anything under the thousands because 500 is in the hundreds place, 20 is in the tens, and 7 is in the ones. Or you can expand and solve by showing the value of all of your numbers. 1,700, 0 tens, 6 ones, minus 500, 27. All right, so we are going to start in the ones place like always. No matter whether we're adding or subtracting, we always start in the ones. So let's check it out. 6 minus 7. We know there's not enough because 7 is more than 6 and we need enough or more on top to be able to subtract. So we're going to have to go next door to borrow. But look what happens. There are 0 tens. The ones place is going to regroup from the tens, but the tens is saying to the ones, sorry, man, I don't have anything to give you. And the ones is like, well, I can't take 7 away until I get more ones by putting a 10 in my ones to make this 16. How are we going to get that? Well, luckily, the tens also has a next door neighbor. Remember, you can only borrow from next door. So for this, the ones place, it cannot take from the hundreds. However, the tens place does take from the hundreds. That's where it regroups. So that 10 can regroup from the hundreds, turning it to 600s and giving that 100 to the tens place by breaking apart the hundreds block into 10 tens. Now there's 10 tens. The reason we did that was for the ones. So we need to keep moving to the ones. Now the tens is back and they're like, hey, ones, I regrouped from hundreds. So now you can regroup from me. The ones place is still 6, looking at the tens place, which is now 10. Are there enough to borrow? Absolutely. If we take 1 10 from 10, we'll have 9 tens left. And we can give that 10 to the ones place, becoming 16 ones, which we needed all along. 16 ones minus 7 ones gives me 9 ones. Don't forget you can draw dots or use your fingers if you need to. I know 9 plus 7 is 16. Now I'm looking at the tens place. 9 tens minus 2 tens gives me 7 tens. I don't need to regroup. There's more on top. 9 minus 2 is 7. Looking at the hundreds, 6 hundreds minus 5 hundreds. Well, there's enough on top. I can take 5 away from 6. It will leave me with 100. And now looking here, when we see nothing, that's kind of like a 0 being there. You don't have to write it, but you can. And 1 minus 0 gives us 1, because when we have 1 and we take nothing away, we still have 1. Don't forget to drop your comma. 1,706 minus 527 gives us 1,179. Let's make sure we get the same thing on the expand and solve side. 6 ones minus 7 ones, there's not enough. 6 goes to regroup from the tens, but the tens doesn't have any. Remember, the ones can only regroup from the tens. They can't go to the hundreds or thousands. The tens can only regroup from the hundreds, so they're going to take 1. There'll be 600 left, and that 100 is given to the tens place, creating 100, because 10 tens is 100. We're not subtracting here. The whole point of this was to give it to the ones. Now the ones can regroup from the tens, leaving 9 tens, or 90, and giving that 10 to the ones place, creating the 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. In the tens place, we have 90 minus 20. That gives us 70. In the hundreds place, we have 600 minus 500. That gives us 100. And then in the thousands place, we have 1,000 minus nothing, which leaves us with 1,000. We know that the expanded form of that is actually 1,179. Excuse me. All right, let's try the next one. Remember, now the 0 is in the number we're taking away. I wonder if that's going to affect us as much as when the 0 is in the number we are taking from. Here we go. 8, take away 9. Well, we don't have enough, so we need to regroup. You can't take the 9 away from the 8. There's not enough to take away, so we're going to borrow by regrouping from the tens. 3 tens becomes 2 tens, and we give that other 10 to the ones place. There's our 3 tens. Now we have 18 ones. 18 minus 9 is 9. I know 9 plus 9 is 18. 2 tens minus 0 tens. When I have 2 tens, can I take 0 away? Yeah, I just did. There's still 2 tens. 2 minus 0 is 2. When I have a 0 in the number I'm taking away, it really doesn't affect me much at all. Taking away 0 means do nothing. So when I have 2 minus 0, I do nothing and I keep my 2. No regrouping necessary. Now we're in the hundreds. 5 hundreds minus 2 hundreds gives us 3 hundreds. 329. Looking at an expanded, 538 minus 200, 0 tens, 9. 8 minus 9, we don't have enough. Regroup. 30 becomes 20 because we give 10 to the ones place. 18 minus 9 is 9. 20 minus 0 is 20. And 500 minus 200 is 300. That's expanded form for 329. Do your best, check your work, and don't get tripped up by zeros. If you see zeros and you're stuck, come back to the video and review. Good luck.